Welcome back to another episode of our Uncommon Life
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
for rejoining us yet again
for another week.
for another week. Here we are.
We're back. Can you tell what day it is by what I'm wearing?
I can. I don't know if, well, now that we have YouTube viewers, that's going to be different because
I
people
know.
have never seen you
It's
before.
going to throw people off a little bit, right?
Yeah. It's Zach's Friday outfit.
Friday outfit right
Yeah.
here. The
You know,
yellow got a little bit of color going.
I know. I feel like I'm like blending into the wall. So I'm like green screening over here.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's green screen it.
There we go. Well, thank you for joining in again. We appreciate every listen, every follow, every watch nowadays.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And subscribe. Is that the right word for that?
Yeah. Subscription. So yeah, wherever you're listening or watching us, please do that. We'd appreciate it.
Like and subscribe. V, what do we want to talk about today?
Today I think we were going to talk about kind of just like a fun one. We just did and came back from two opposing trips. I was gone for a full 4 days. I was home for 2 days, and then Zach was gone for 4 or 5 days. So we just thought we would kind of recap our little opposite trips. And as always, we like to live independently together. So, having that time with our friends and doing the things we love to do is always super important to us in our marriage. So, that's sometimes we like to just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't we start with you, and
Oh,
why don't you tell us where you just got back from and what your trip was like?
So I took my sister up to Traverse City for her 50th birthday. Sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that, sister. But we did a girls' trip. So my cousins, my sister, and my best friend of like 30 years, we headed up to our place in downtown Traverse City. And my sister had never been since we've had the place for 3 years. She's got three kids, and it's hard for her to sneak away with all the sports and craziness of motherhood. So we had planned this a couple months ago, and we went up and just had a good girls' weekend. It was great. It was really snowy. So,
Mm.
yeah, like pelting us in the face while we were walking around town. Like you have to keep your head down because it was just like coming in at us.
It gets a
So,
little windy off the bay there
yeah,
too, for
yeah.
sure. So
Yeah, so it was really fun. We got up on Friday night. We decided to head up a little early because there was another snowstorm coming in, and it was super nice waking up there Saturday morning. Everybody was sleeping in, and I slept on the lower level so that I could sneak out and go to the little Oriana grocery store that's a couple blocks away from the house and make some coffee and just have a couple moments of quiet before everybody got busy. And we made some breakfast, and then we played some games and bopped around town. Of course, I took the girls to Mama Lou's.
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
love Mama Lou's.
So good. Some of us had some margaritas and some chips and salsa and guac and queso, just some snacks because we were having a really big dinner that night. So we didn't want to get too full. But it was great. Everybody loved it. I had a coconut margarita, which is like one of my favorite things there. It's so good. So
Have
yeah.
you ever had their tortilla soup?
I didn't even know they had tortilla soup, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, no.
I think I'm not sure if it's on the menu all the time, but their tortilla soup is like perfectly spicy,
Mm.
and it's awesome. It's really good.
Ugh, I love tortilla soup anyways. It's always, especially like in cold, that would have been a great thing to get because it
Yeah.
was so cold.
Yep.
But yeah, we had the little snack. We headed back to the condo and started getting ready for our big night out. And I was so excited because we got a reservation at the cook's house for dinner. And about 2 weeks after I made the reservation, they got nominated for a James Beard Award, which is unheard of in Northern Michigan. So, super excited for those guys. And the dinner was amazing.
It
So,
lived up to the James Beard.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Service, like we had the like warm towel service to start, and they had brought around sparkling rosé for my sister's birthday. So that was like super nice sitting down and having that brought over like immediately with the warm towels. Um, we all were freaking out over this like vegetable tea is what they called it, but it was like a broth, and it was like so good. It brought one of my girlfriends to like literal tears. Like she was having like nostalgia. It kind of reminded her of being a kid. Me too, when I took a sip of it.
Mhm.
Like the old Campbell's like beef and barley vegetable soup. It was like literally that flavor, but this clear broth with nothing in it, and you could taste like every single component. So we were like obsessing over that,
That sounds
and
so awesome. It's like
oh, it-
when food like brings that emotion
yeah,
out, whether it's a soup or a bite of something, and it just like it's that feeling of like bubbling up with like joy or like with nostalgia. Like it's amazing when food can do that.
yeah,
And that is probably the best way for me to describe like a James Beard chef.
exactly.
Because like there's something magical they can do with whatever they're cooking that just gives you that emotional like feeling. It's I'll never forget like taking your nephew Noah out for his 12th birthday
Yeah,
and him having like the crab bisque that we
yeah.
had. And his eyes just lit up. His and like he started giggling and God, I love it when chefs can do that.
Yeah. And I think the most beautiful thing about this vegetable tea, first of all, they change their broth every single dinner
Mm,
service. So what they have that night, it like you're probably not going to get that again, especially that specific flavor, because I'm going to assume they roasted and did their broth with whatever vegetables they had from the week. So that's
mhm.
probably always going to change. But the fact that it was just this simple, clear broth was like, that is execution.
Yeah.
So we got the giggles because we loved it so much. After my girlfriend got emotional, we all just started like giggling, and they ended up bringing us an extra round of it like later down in the courses because we were just like cracking up about it. So that was awesome. We also had some really good, there was duck, there was a really good celery, actual thick, creamy soup that had like sweet potato crisps on
Mm.
top and this like sour and sweet drizzle. I don't know, it was really good. So everything we had was awesome. One of my favorite things was the dessert there. It was like a olive oil cake sitting on top of a lemon mascarpone. I don't
Mm.
know if I ever say that right. That's a
I think you nailed it.
did I nail?
I think you
Okay.
nailed it. Yep.
Um, and it was just so simple and delicious. It was just the perfect amount of sweet, especially after like all those courses that we had. So,
Mhm.
um, highly recommend Cook's House. They made us feel amazing. We enjoyed our time. Great service, great food. So,
How busy was it when you were in there? Was the place loaded or?
yeah, it was Valentine's Day weekend.
Mm.
So, it was busy. We were the only table of all women. It
Nice.
was like date night for everybody.
That's funny.
There was even an instance where a couple walked in and she made the reservation on the wrong date.
Oh,
And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed." And they sat her, and it's a small restaurant, maybe like 10 tables, maybe less than 10 tables. And I don't know if somebody had canceled or what, but they were like, "Don't even worry about it. We're going to seat you,
mm,
enjoy your date night out." So I thought that was amazing service too.
that is awesome.
Yeah. So it was really good.
I love that when an establishment tries to be like the best part of your night. Like it's their job, not just to produce awesome food and an awesome product, but an all around experience. And you and I talk about that all the time is the
Yeah.
experience that these places provide. And when they can kind of go out of their way to make something like that happen, it just takes someone's night that could be disastrous
Mhm.
into something even more special.
Yeah, I mean, like that could have caused an argument with it being Valentine's weekend.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
it was winter in Traverse City, so maybe you could get in somewhere else, but it would have been hard to find somewhere to even go eat that night normally. So, I thought, disaster averted there
Well,
for that couple.
yeah, I mean, we've
So,
been on the receiving end of that before
oh
where
yeah.
we had
Mhm.
an experience, and I won't name the restaurant here, but a restaurant locally here that we had made Valentine's Day reservations for.
Mhm.
We went in, got our cocktails, and when we were seated, they were already about a half hour late, but it was Valentine's Day weekend. So,
Yeah.
like, I get it. We can run behind on a reservation. That's fine. But we were seated for about 45 minutes, and all we had was cocktails.
Yep.
And they kept on going by our table saying, "We're going to bring bread. We're going to get a server right over here." And they said it 3 or 4 times. And then we just decided to get up and leave. I told the host on the way out, I said, look, we've been seated for 45 minutes, haven't seen anybody. I'm not paying for these cocktails. We've got to go find another spot for
Right.
dinner. And so we left, um, and we found a place called Bella Piatti, just kind of by chance,
So good.
in like near the hotel we were staying at in Birmingham. And walked in, and I explained the situation to the hostess, and they were slammed. They were slam packed,
Hmm.
but somehow they were able to make room for us to have a Valentine's Day meal there, and it was a great experience. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
I still love taking people to Bella Piatti because first of all, the food's amazing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, they were like, I think there's a little tiny table in the bar if you guys don't mind being crowded. And then we also made it worth their while too. Like we ordered a ton of food just to try
as,
everything, and it was delicious.
as
We
we
had
normally
good
do.
wine, and we were just walking across the street back to the hotel, so we just did it up.
That's
But
great.
yeah, the Cook's House in Traverse City, amazing. It's just right off Front Street, just like down one little side street, like a not even like two buildings back from front. It was really good. And then we were all so full, we just like went back and crashed. And then the second day we were there, we kind of did like a easy brunch at the Red Spire Brunch House, which I think is
That was a
always
good
a
choice.
really good brunch for a group. You can make reservations. So there's not have like there's always a huge line of people really disappointed because they don't make reservations. So anytime I take like a girls group up there, it's like I know I can usually get in there if I call ahead and know I'm going.
Mhm.
And then they have really good brunch cocktails too. So some of our favorite places in Traverse City sometimes don't have brunch cocktails. So when I'm going after a big night out or a big dinner, it's like, yeah, everybody might need a Bloody Mary or a mimosa in the
Yeah.
morning. So we did that. We shopped around the commons a little bit, and we did some wine tasting, took them up to Mobby. The roads were treacherous. So,
Which I know
um,
you love.
yeah, I was a little freaked out, but we made it there, had a good, couple glasses of wine. The road back didn't seem as bad, probably because I had some good wine tasting. And then yeah, I think we made dinner that night. So we just stayed in, made dinner, played games. It's a girls' trip, so at some point everybody's crying, at some point everybody's laughing, and
Sounds miserable.
we like exercised in the kitchen every night, did stretches and like some body weight stuff just to, be a little active. So it was fun. And a couple of the girls had to leave Monday morning. And then me and my sister and my best friend, we just kind of bopped around town and shopped a little bit. And we ended up at a really good place for dinner Monday night. That was the Good Bowl.
Mm.
And on Sundays and Mondays, they have dim sum. So you have like your whole list of just all the little bite size things to get. And if you're ever there, the short ribs, the fried rice, oh my gosh,
Mm.
amazing. So it was a really fun way to try their whole menu, is just get a whole bunch of little,
Yeah.
side dim sum things, some dumplings. They had really good shumai. So yeah, that was great. That was our trip. We just ate, walked, and played card games and made breakfast. So
Yeah. That sounds
we
awesome.
loved it. Yeah, it was a really great time just to get away for a little bit. And I don't get to do that with my cousins and sister and friend very often. So it was fun that we planned that up.
That's great. I'm a little jealous because you've hit a couple spots that I haven't had the opportunity to hit yet.
Yeah.
Cook's House and the Good Bowl.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely excited to try those for sure.
I know. I was like excited too, because I mean, we've tried a lot of restaurants in Traverse. So for us to be hitting some that we've never tried before, it was really cool. So
It's awesome.
tell me about your trip. You got to go do some really cool stuff. So
Yeah. So I just got back from Telluride, Colorado, and it was a ski trip. And so I picked up skiing a few years ago and just absolutely fell in love with it. So Telluride is the fourth resort I've been to, and yeah, it was awesome. So it was the first time that I've been skiing where like it was like super like not windy on the mountain,
mm-hmm.
and it was about 45 to 49 degrees.
Wow.
And so I was worried about it like melting and being all soupy and stuff, and that didn't sound like much fun to me. But what we found is the snow is actually in great shape. It stayed in great shape. And in the middle of the mountain, there's like the party hut or whatever they call it. It's a little a little lodge, I guess, halfway down the mountain. And I was able to take off my coats and just have a t-shirt and my bibs on and just chill there in the sun. and it was so nice. It was awesome.
Yeah, I bet that was a cool experience because you're just surrounded by the mountains and the snow and you're just like in a t-shirt. So
Yeah, it
I think
was
it was
really cool.
and it was warmer there than here, I think.
Yeah,
So
it definitely was.
yeah.
So, yeah, it was a really good trip. Just, bombing down the mountain with everybody and having a good time. And there's always somebody different on these trips that I get to meet, that I enjoy meeting. And it's a really, really good group of people from all over the country, which is so cool. So we had people in from Chicago, from Boston, from Texas, Minneapolis, yeah, all over the place. And they get together. This is their 11th year doing it. And I joined in, like I said, about 3 years ago. And it's just a really cool group of people. So it's also like it was really nice for me because it's a group of different professionals at certain levels, and watching how they operate when they're out of town. And most of them would be on their phone at some point or on their laptops at some point and working. And that kind of encouraged me to work a little bit too, which is nice. I needed a little pick me up, a little
Nice.
little encouragement that hey, it's okay to work while you're away.
That's so funny because, like, completely opposite of my trip, no one was working. And I
Yeah,
was like, I got to get my laptop out. And I think I had to upload a podcast. So I'm like, hey, guys, I have to do this for a few. And everybody's
right.
like just waiting for me. And I was like, go ahead. Like,
No, it's so funny
so
because
totally opposite.
this group would be like, if you had your laptop out, they wouldn't bother you during that time. They might talk to you or ask you like, "Hey, we're gonna run over here. Do you want to go, or do you want to catch up with this later?" Like, there was never a question of like, "Are you working again?" or whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
was like they knew you were just getting stuff done. So there were several points over the weekend where I worked, I don't know, for a few hours straight, like, and it was nice. It was really nice. That like kind of set the standard, set the norm. But when they went out to the mountain, it was like game on. So they all do things really really hard. Like once they're in, they're in, all in. So that was awesome. One of the girls there, I met her. Her name was Danny. She's hilarious. I picked up the vibe about what she was like within 5 seconds of opening the freezer. There's a bottle of Casamigos tequila, and then I didn't even know they made these, but they had the little shooter size 19 is it 1972 or 1942, whatever
I
the
think it's
is
42.
it
The
42, the
tequila, the Don
tequila.
Julio.
Yeah, they make shooter sizes of those, and I was
Nice.
like, oh my god, that's awesome. She's like, yeah, I know, I saw those and I had to buy them. I was like, okay, I know how you roll. So yeah, it was just a really cool group of people, really welcoming. And yeah, it's nice to connect with a couple of the guys that are the organizers of the group are my friends from high school, some of my best friends. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's always a good time. So
That's awesome. And how did you like this resort in Telluride compared to like the other resorts? You said you've been to like
mhm.
this was your fourth or fifth now.
Yeah, so I've been to Big Sky twice. Big Sky was the first one that I hit.
Hmm.
I've been to Jackson Hole. I've been to Brighton, Solitude, and now Telluride. So I I'm having a hard time like deciphering whether I like a mountain or not, depending on the conditions. Like
Hmm.
I'm still learning a lot about skiing and like what it's like in different conditions, different times of the year, different regions, and how different these places can be. However, I did like the fact that Telluride seemed to be a large mountain with very few people. And I don't know if it was just the weekend that we were there or what, but there was like just we could go on runs and really not see many other people.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, it was awesome. So God, I loved it. It was so cool. I'm so glad that I found skiing.
Yeah.
I was talking to Brandon about this. I don't even know how they roped me into to going. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I was able to I saw a message from them about canceling their trip the year that I went, and I was able to kind of put their trip together, but I don't know why I was on that message originally. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was did was that the year that you did the first year that you went with them, you also did Big Sky? No, you actually put
I
together
put
Big
together
Sky.
Big
Okay,
Sky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you kind of pulled it through, which
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah, I'm glad that you found it too. It like definitely gives you that sense of adventure that you really like. that I
Yeah.
don't like.
The
Like
adrenaline of
the
just like
adrenaline. Yeah.
boom, going down that mountain.
Yeah. I'm glad that you have a group of people to do that with. I have been with you once and I'm totally cool being cozied up in the cabin with a book and the fireplace and love that vibe looking at the mountains. I love being in the mountains, but I don't want to like be
On the
on the
mountain.
mountain. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd probably have a panic attack just going up the ski lift. So it's good. It's
Yeah.
totally fine.
No, I mean, Telluride is really cool because like we stayed in kind of, I don't know if it's called the mountain village or not, but anyways, they had a little shuttle service that would take you to the gondola. And the gondola, there's two different ones that'll take you up the mountain and then one that'll take you to town. And so I was able to, we didn't have to drive anywhere once we were there.
Oh, that's nice.
Got the shuttle to the gondola, gondola up, gondola into town, and we could walk around town. Town was awesome. It's an old mining village.
Oh,
Yeah, that it wasn't always called Telluride. I think it was renamed in like 1975 or 85 or something like that.
I'm sure you're the one that looked that up.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about this group is they're like curious people,
Mm.
and so like we just explore, and not the normal kind of explore. Like any outsider might have thought that like we were super dorky, if they listened to our conversation. But I don't know. It's a really cool group of people to travel with for sure.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you had a good time.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go back. Telluride is awesome. Good food, good people in town. It's definitely a ski mountain. It's like you can't imagine like a California like surfer, like what you think of with that.
Yeah.
It's just in snow. So yeah,
Very
it's
cool.
awesome. Yeah. So that was my trip, and then when I came back, you and I got back together, and we were reunited.
Yeah. Oliver
And,
was very happy that he was like so discombobulated.
He was pumped that we were all home.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was awesome. I'm just looking forward to our next trip.
Yeah. And I think our next trip is actually together, which is nice.
Yeah.
We're actually going up to Traverse City in a couple weeks together with a couple couples. So that'll be really fun. That's going to be an adventure. And then we're going to go to Orlando soon. So we always like doing a little adult Disney.
Yeah, Disney
like
action.
thing. So we love that. But yeah, I just want to highlight that like something that's very important in our marriage is being able to explore our own hobbies, our own interests. Yes, we love to do tons of stuff together. My favorite person in the world to hang out with is my husband. But sometimes like Zach doesn't want to sit around and read in front of a fireplace.
No.
And I don't want to go jump down a mountain. So it's okay to find a different village of people to do those things that you like to do as well. And it's important to have connection and community in other places. So I'm not constantly looking for that out of Zach. So
Ooh, yeah, go look up Esther Perel,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Esther Perel talks a lot about that. And I think that is so important. Like you cannot expect every single thing out of your partner. So yeah, I want to go play games and cry and have girl talk. I'm going to go find my girlfriends for that. So
Thank you.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's just important to note that it's okay to go do things without your spouse once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while. Just as it's important that once we come back together, it's like we're making popcorn, snuggling, and watching the Traders. So, super
Yep.
important. So.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for listening in this week. I know it's a short one, and I know it's kind of light about travel and fun and stuff like that, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch up with you next week.